Hi, welcome to my short presentation looking at an activity that for some humans allegedly it provides them with joy and entertainment value, not the case in our household. I am referring to the soul-destroying, vacuous task that is grocery shopping. We only consider it to be a regularly occurring necessary evil. To add to the enlightening job of shopping for normal house supplies, I decided to increase the suffering by informally testing a primary school mind as we shopped. Apart from the self-torture, I did this to explore their knowledge of maths and numeracy required in this activity with respect to the Australian curriculum. Within the context of grocery shopping, we found that this includes working with fractions, working with decimals, calculating percentages of discounts, and keeping tallies. And the presentation will also include a little bit of history about base 10 maths and decimal currency, a little trivia about the pre-decimal horror show, and finally I will look at W. Scott's numeracy model, how it underpins this experience, and particularly in relation to a point of best value for money. So getting started, in conducting this investigation, I was able to draw on my own 20-something painful years of shopping experience. My aim was to compare this perspective with that of a primary school student. So fortunately, I have two primary school students readily at my disposal, often referred to as my children, or Oliver and Jasper. Normally, in the interest of self-preservation, neither is called upon for shopping assistance. An exception was made for the purpose of this task, and I conducted a quick cost-benefit analysis resulting in a conclusive choice that only one of them would be coming, and which one was quite simple. I chose to focus on the perspective and insights of the Year 5 student who has both a level of humility and respect for adults not experienced by the Year 7 student. Lovely. Okay, slow slide, I apologise. Once the consultant / child labour / Jasper had been assigned to this task, we agreed on the payment of one flavoured iced coffee milk drink, and we got stuck into it. And at this point I almost got serious as the process became interesting. I had the ACARA Year 5 curriculum content descriptions within the number and algebra strand in my phone to refer to, and this got us underway. And what I discovered was that referring to the content strands that my own numeracy practices I've taken for granted for some time, as specific skills from the substrands of number and place value, fractions and decimals, money and financial maths that I resourced repeatedly in this reluctant retail racket. So now we're going to look at the elements from the curriculum that I specifically asked Jasper to focus on and see how we apply these to a real life scenario. There's a whole bunch of letters that stand for Australian Curriculum Mathematics, Number and Algebra, ACMNA, followed by 3 numbers assigned to each descriptor. I'm only going to be referring to the 3 numbers at the end from here. So 077, investigate equivalent fractions used in contexts. We applied this to several fresh fruit and vegetable items, and that were available in both half and full serves or segments. I'm familiar with the concept that the half size items very rarely are half the cost of the full one. I can see this just from looking at the numbers. Usually, I'm not even thinking half the time. Jasper, however, was able to conduct this calculation in his head, even if it was, a little slower than what I do. So, as we're moving around the shops, I asked Jasper to attempt to maintain a mental tally as we filled the trolley. Kind of a generous interpretation of the ACARA content descriptor 105, which is to compare order and represent decimals. It was quickly abandoned due to distractions, including but not limited to items that never have and never will be bought. So it prompted me to attempt him to tally using a calculator. Oddly, a similar outcome was experienced. The decimal place was misplaced somewhere between the frozen goods and the milk, and the tally had reached something like $3,700. So we're in the dairy section now, and this was a good opportunity to look at descriptor 132. Discounting with percentages. They didn't have any items there reduced 10, 25 or 50%, but they did have an item at 20%. Jasper was able to confirm that he agreed with the labelling and the pricing, that they had reduced it by 20%. He had the advantage of the prices being printed with both amounts, the original and the reduced amount. So I chose a couple of random items and assigned a 50% discount on that, 25 on that, and 10 on that. Not at all being surprised that he found 10% to be the easiest. And this, for me, is something I relate to the decimal or the base 10 system. Unlike the system itself, the history of base 10 maths I found complicating and confusing. Evidence suggests that in ancient Egypt, base 10 systems were used as early as 1650. And from there, I guess, with evolution and development of civilizations, base 10 maths has survived. I consider it to be both logical and versatile. It's what has survived through to this day. So that, I think that speaks for itself. The actual symbols we use, again, I found this to be sort of ambiguous, but they're known historically as the Hindu-Arabic symbols, or in some cases the Indo-Arabic symbols. Not introduced in Europe until the 13th century, which I found interesting, but attributed largely to Fibonacci in his book of calculation. And they've obviously grown in popularity from there today to be the most widely used number symbols throughout the world. I've known no other system for representing number and place value, so I find it as hard as going shopping to consider any other. Base 10 refers to place value, number place value, increases and decreases. So shifting left, there's an increase by a factor of 10, and shifting right, there is a decrease by a factor of 10, so demonstrated in that diagram. And 10, why do I like 10? I like 10 because we have, if we're lucky enough to be unscathed by life, then we've got 10 digits. Okay, now what did we have before decimal? Pre-decimal system currencies. Prior to Federation in the 20th century, as they were then known, the colonies, trade was carried out with a variety of currencies, exchange, bartering, but one of the favourites I love to hear about is that rum was used as the main commodity for some time. In 1910, the Australian Notes Act was passed, and Australia got their own specific official currency based on an old British system of 12 pence to a shilling, 20 shillings to a pound. This is when I really start to feel my brain melting. Coin denominations I had included 5 shilling, 2 shilling, 1 shilling, 6 pence, 3 pence, 1 penny, and half penny. And my mum's told me stories my whole life about the old currency. It does my head in. And her parents had a shop, and she'd often tell me what you could get for a shilling or half shilling or sixpence or whatever it was, and she'd always used to say this funny word, halfpenny, and it's only just now I've realised what that means. Anyway, so in 1966 the new decimal currency coins were introduced, the denominations of 50 cent, 20 cent, 10 cent, 5 cent, 2 cent, 1 cent. In 1984, a $1 was introduced to replace the $1 paper note, and in 1988, the same occurred for the $2 note. In 1990, the treasurer at the time said that it was costing more to produce 1 and 2 cent coins than they were given value of. This led to them being phased out of production, and I find it quite humorous that 9 years later, only roughly 1/3 of the copper coins had been returned. They still remain legal tender, so you still can use them if you want. The funny paradox of that, I find that transactions these days are rounded to the nearest 5 cents. So this then kind of, in that same period, this was when FPOS and electronic banking started to really boom in Australia. And you know, it's convenient and I like it, but again, there's some kind of paradox between cash and electronic money, and it's just really, it boggles my mind. You know, following that's been the evolution of the interweb, where you can buy stuff without leaving your home and get it delivered, and you know, again, kind of appealing, but kind of hurts my head. So this brings us to Scott's model of numeracy, published in a journal in 2000, titled The Essential Ingredients in Numeracy. She introduced confidence as the first essential ingredient, and refers to confidence and attitude to incorporate aspects of positive affect, including motivation and comfort level. I was quite amused applying this to myself. I maintain a high level of confidence in undertaking the task of shopping, completing the necessary kind of numeracy skills or math skills, whilst kind of hating the whole time, coming from a really negative headspace. Jasper, on the other hand, was just sort of floating around, didn't care less that he was there. You know, seemed kind of, wouldn't say excited, but he certainly wasn't bothered, wasn't uncomfortable, and was happy to demonstrate a willingness when I set him tasks. So I guess, you know, that covers the confidence of the episode. Jasper's confidence was different to mine. I was highly confident. He didn't seem overly confident. The job got done. The content for a shopping experience is sort of basic arithmetic: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And these, you know, these directly relate to the Akara content descriptions. You know, the use of fractions and decimals, calculating percentages and discounts, and calculating change, if of course you're actually using money. So I can see that fits like a glove. As I've previously stated, I hate shopping. This is a context I dislike immensely. It's unavoidable and it's kind of important, so I've got to do it. But it got me thinking about how to calculate best buys. I think the Akara descriptor 174, which on the surface seems simple enough, sort of calculate bang for your buck. What's the most I can get for the littlest outlay? Jasper can do this quite effectively, but once I started introducing other factors that might affect what constitute best buys, ethics, supporting local producers, overall quality of items, storability, and of course your personal preference, he started to get puzzled. Okay, let's wind this up. So in summary, I've gained some insights and appreciation for the skill level involved in shopping. You know, I don't like it. Get the job done. Get out of there. The main point for me was when I looked at the contextual sort of experiential social aspect of numeracy that Scott made me think about. That's what I've taken away from this. Oh, and one last factor, that is, of course, do not take the kids. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it.